So now we are going to see how we can use routers with React. Okay, for that we need a new dependency. Let's go to package.json. Till now we don't have React router dependency, so we need to add one. Let's close the terminal here, and then we need to install npm install, and then we need to specify the package name. So I'm going to use react-router-dom, and also I'm going to use another dependency that is going to be types slash react dash router dash dom. So what we are doing here is we are installing React router and its TypeScript version of it. Okay, so let's install it. So our React router has been installed. If we take a look here, so at line number 12 we have this installed, and at line number 9 we have this types available for this. Okay, so now let's go to our src directory. Inside example, I'm going to create another file, and that is going to be router example.tsx. Yep, this is what we need. And the first thing we need to do is import the dependencies for a basic React component. We are going to use React, and then we are going to use component from React DOM. Sorry, from React. Okay, and now we are going to use an example class. Export default class router example. Okay, and I'm going with nothing, because at this point of time I don't need anything. Okay, and then I'm having the render method to return an element. Okay, so now this is where we are going to use some router specific components or classes. Okay, so now I'm going to import some classes from React router. Okay, I'm going to import browser router, and I'm going to give an alias to this as router. Then I'm going to import route, and then I'm going to need link. Okay, so why is this complaining? From, yep, my bad. So now we have the necessary components created. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to add here is I'm going to use the router tag. So this is the one that we have imported. This is the one. Okay, then inside router I'm going to have an unordered list. Okay, then I'm going to have a list item, and here I'm going to use a link. This is pretty much the same link that we have imported from React router DOM. Okay, and here I'm going to give the link name as home. Okay, and then I have to pass another attribute to this link component. Here we have to specify the path which we are going to point to. Okay, so in order to display that component here, we are going to create another small component. We don't need to export this, just have a class home page. Okay, and this needs to extend the React component, and I'm going to have the default, not default, the render method, and I'm going to return a very basic message here, okay, and that is going to be welcome to homepage. Okay. Oh, sorry. And then we need to link this router actually. Okay. So to do that, we have to specify the routes. Okay. So for routes we have the component, okay, and we are going to specify the path first. Okay, this is going to be the home, and then we are going to specify the component. Here the component we are going to specify as homepage. Okay, it has to be inside the braces. Okay, let's save this and let's run this. npm start. Okay, we missed one thing. Let's go back to our class, to our code. Let's go to index.js, and we are going to need to change this to router example, and I'm going to comment this out. Let's see why this is complaining. Got it. We need to, oh sorry, so we need to extend this class from component. Okay, let's go back. So here we have our code now. Coming back, so here we can see that we have this list here, and it is printing welcome to homepage, because this is the only component we have for now. If we go to our router example class, okay, and here inside router, and we have this route tag. Here we have specified for this route path we are going to use homepage. Okay, and homepage component is where we are printing welcome to homepage. Now in order to make sure that this is the same page that is loading, I'm going to add a new value to this, okay, so that we can be sure that it is printing the same page. So see, after this welcome to homepage, we have the timestamp. Okay, now when I'm clicking this home, so you see this time is changing. So now we have 34. When I click again, this becomes 39. I click again, this becomes 42. So that means it's the same component that is loading. It's just that the timestamp is different, because by the time I had clicked the home page, so the time had changed. Okay, coming back to our class. Okay, now this is the very basic example I had. Okay, so now I want to cover another example where we can redirect it to a path where it has some data. Okay, for that I'm creating another class, and I'm just giving it a name as route A, and this extends component as well. Okay, and this also has a render method or function, and I'm adding a div here as well, and I'm just giving a random message here. This is route A. Sorry about the return. Okay, So, and now we need to map this to another route. Okay, so for that I'm having another list item here just below the previous one, and then I'm changing it to A. And oops, it was because of this missing tag. Okay, now Visual Studio Code is happy, and I'm going to name this as route A. Okay, and now we need to link the route A component to this path. So for that I'm going to use the same line we had earlier for the home page. Now earlier we had used this home page as just slash, that is the root, and then we are using the /A. So what's happening here is, so when we click on this link, so we have a list and that list has a link, and when we click on that link it will try to navigate to /A. Okay, and here we have informed the router that whenever we are navigating to /A, okay, we have configured that for /A we should point to route A. Okay, so this is the route A component, and this is what it is going to load. Okay, so let's see this in action. I come here. Okay, now see, we have this route A. So when I click on route A, so this is printing, this is route A along with the home page message. Okay, so I think we have to give another parameter here. It doesn't look right that it is trying to point out to, you know, exact. When I see exact, this is how it is going to be. So okay, now this is route A. See, now that previous message has gone. Okay, when I click home page, this will print only welcome to home page. When I click on route A, this will print only route A. Okay, see the path here. So localhost colon 3000 is the the server name and the port number at which this application is running, and /A is where our route A component is loaded. Okay, coming back, so this is what we have. All right, and now, so this is an example for which we have a class. Now we can also have an example where we can use a functional component to render the route. Okay, so for that I'm having a route B. Okay, and this is going to return another message. This is route B. Okay, this is function, we don't need this. Okay, so this is just going to print this. Okay, that's just the way we have done this thing. Okay, so similar thing, I mean pretty much the same thing we are doing here for route B. Just the difference is, for this case we are using a functional component instead of a stateful or a class component. Okay, I'm changing it to B, and then I'm changing this to route B. Okay, let's check the message we have. Okay, this is perfect. Let's save this. Coming back, now we have three routes: home, route A, and route B. Clicking on home, we are going to the home page along with the timestamp we had printed earlier. Then going to route A, we have the route A printing here, and then we are going to route B. See, immediately it changed. Okay, so this is how it is going to work. Okay, and see, another thing I had missed, my apologies. So we need to specify exact here. Okay, remember when we had not specified the exact here, and then we had navigated to route A, and it printed both the message of home page along with route A message. So the reason was, so route was kind of consolidating all the available or all the possible combinations of route, provided in the URL. So since we had provided /a, so this /a also had the slash as well as /a. That's why it consolidated, or it printed both these router components. Okay, so we have to keep that in mind. We definitely need to use exact whenever we need to make sure that, you know, that's the only component it can load. Okay, so now we have seen how we can point to the root page or the home page, or we can navigate to another component, and also how we can use a functional component to load this thing. Okay, now we are going to cover how we can pass parameters. Okay, for that we need to import another class, and that is going to be router component props. Okay, and here we are going to specify, sorry, in route going to specify the number. I'm just giving a number, or this is a variable name actually. Okay, so yes, this is let's take this as num_a or num1, and for b we are passing num2, or let's make this even shorter, n1 and n2. So these are kind of expressions, colon n1 colon n2. So to a we can now pass numbers. Let's assume to a we are passing 100, and to b we are passing 200. Okay, another thing I missed, it should have a /. Okay, so now in order to receive these parameters, we have to go to this corresponding classes, and now we need to specify these props, router component props. Okay, this is going to be, I'm just going to specify that it will take, it can take any argument. Okay, this takes an argument type. And similar thing we need to do with the function as well. Okay, so I'm going to pass this thing here. This is going to be a prop type again, and this is what I'm going to do. Okay, and in this route a component, I'm going to print the message that we would be receiving from the routes. So that would be this dot props dot match dot params, and dot we are going to print n1. Okay, because n1 is what we are going to receive from component a, sorry, route a. See, this is what we have specified. Similarly for b, I mean for component b, we are going to do similar things. We are going to print with props dot match dot params dot n2. Okay, let's save this. Let's go back to our code just to revise what we have done recently. So here we have specified a path, and then we are trying to pass a number argument. Okay, and similar thing we are trying to do with the route b component as well. The only thing different here is route a is having a state component or a class component, and route b is having a functional component. Okay, so this is what we are printing. Okay, let's give a semicolon here and give them a proper aligning. Okay, no complaints, good. Coming back, so now we are in the home page, route b. See, so now when we clicked on route b, it redirected us to b/200. Okay, so now if I change this to 250 and load, see, now route b is printing 250. Now let's change this to, now let's click on route a. So it immediately printed, this is route a 100, because 100 was hard coded. If we go back to our code and look at the router. So here we had hard coded as 100. So if we go back and change this 100 to 120 and load, so see, this changed to 120. Okay, so this is also very important, or one of the most useful routes we covered just now. And finally, we are going to cover the query params. Okay, for that I'm going to create another component, query params example. Okay, this also extends component. This should have a render function as well. Okay, and this should return a div, and this div should print the message query params. For this example, I'm going to consider two query params, query parameters, which would be passed in the URL. I'm going to take the first one as p1, and then I would be printing that value, and then p2. Okay, that would have another value. Now, in order to receive that, we are going to use the same route component props. Okay, and here I'm going to print this dot props sorry, I think first we need to parse the data that we have. So I'm going to create a variable here, and I'm using a class here. Okay, URL search params, and I'm going to use this dot props dot location. Okay, or dot search. Okay, I have to use the new here. Okay, now what this is doing is we are using URL search params. This is a utility class we have. So, and in this URL parameters we are passing the entire query. Okay, and this URL search params will convert that query into a key value pair. Okay, and that key value pair will contain the parameter name as a key and the parameter's value as the value of the key. Okay, so we are going to use p1 and p2. Okay, so I'm going to pass that one as query dot get p1, and would be using pretty much the same query here as p2. Okay, and for this we also need to configure another route. I'm going to copy paste this one, and I'm going to use this one as query. Okay, and then I'm going to pass the values here. P1 equals let's say 20, ampersand. P2 would be 50. Okay, and then we have to change this message to differentiate route query params. Okay, so here also we need to link it to a route, so that is going to be linked to /query. I want this to have an exact match, and then we are going to use query params example. Okay, so this is what we are doing now. So let's save this and let's go to our page back. So this is being printed from the previous example. Now I'm going to click on route query params. See, so the moment I clicked on this route query params, it printed query params p1 is 20 and p2 is 50. If we take a look at the URL, this is the same value we have specified. Now I'm going to change this p2 value from 50 to 88. Let's load this. Sorry, I did not load that. See, p1 value remains same or unchanged to 20, and p2 value has changed to 88. Okay, now I'm changing p1 value as well. Okay, this is going to be say 55, and I hit enter. So now this value has changed as well. Okay, so this is pretty much how we can use router with React. Okay, so I hope you have understood it. So again, this is more on the practice, so I would highly recommend to practice this thing. So that would give you that will definitely give you a better idea of how this router is working. Okay.